We studied yesterday till inherited traits, Mendel's laws, and we have to start with the first cross of Mendel, which is called as monohybrid cross. So please write along with me. The first cross of Mendel is monohybrid cross. What is monohybrid cross? First let us understand. Monohybrid crosses, if we cross two plants with having only one single characteristics. We said each plant has a wide variety of contrasting characters, such as it has white flowers and yellow flowers. It is tall plant or a dwarf plant. So what we do here is we will take one character at a time and cross the plant. So please write first. Heading query, monohybrid cross. Write in your notebook, monohybrid cross. The cross which involves a single pair of contrasting character. A cross which involves a single pair of contrasting character, a single pair of contrasting character, a single pair of contrasting character is called monohybrid cross. Is called monohybrid is called monohybrid cross. Okay, so if I take only one character, such as white flower with violet flowers, okay, or tallness with dwarfness, these are all what crosses? Monohybrid cross. Fine. So now, before we do monohybrid cross, we should understand something. If I have to represent a character in its pure form, I should always represent it with two alphabets. What did I say? If I have to represent any character, such as I have to represent round, so R. Okay? If I have to say wrinkle, it becomes what? Small r. Why? One place I am using capital and at the other place I am using small letter. The character which is dominant is written in capital, and the character which is not dominant is written as small letters. Okay? So what we try to do here is, if I have to write any character or represent any character, I will always do it in two alphabets. One from Mama, one from Appa. So two alphabets. If both are tall, pure tall plants. Both are short, pure short plants. If one is tall and one is round and one is wrinkled, which character is dominant? Round is dominant. Anything which is written in capital letters is dominant, and anything which is written in small letters is recessive. One gene which is dominant, which makes its appearance. One gene which does not make its appearance is what? Recessive. Let us suppose I say black color. There is a cross between a black dog and a white dog, and the black color is, the progeny is black in color, or the baby is black in color, or the puppy is black in color. So what is dominant? Black is dominant. So how do I represent black? Capital BB. How do I represent white? Not as WW, same alphabet but in small. Understood? So this is pure black, this is pure white. The progeny will be what? Black in color, but it has genes of white also. Did you get my point? When you are representing any character, you will always represent it with two letters. Okay? If it is dominant, then capital letter. If it is not dominant characters make their appearance in the next generation. Recessive characters will stay hidden. I may be very short, but my son may be tall, because I may not be pure short like this. Understood? Or I may be short like this, but my husband may be pure tall. So what happens? My son can be tall. Understood? He may look tall, but he will have genes of shortness. But when he marries another lady, he may have a son who will be, or a daughter who will be completely short. Understood? So these are all laws of inheritance. So is it clear what we are writing? What is dominant? Anything which is written in capital letters is dominant. Anything which is written in small letters is recessive. Okay, so let us first understand what is monohybrid cross. So when you take one character at a time and cross any plant, it is called as monohybrid cross. So in pea plant, let us say we took pure tall plant and crossed it with pure dwarf plant. This is what generation? Parent generation. I took what? A pure tall plant and I crossed it with a pure dwarf plant. When it reproduces, what division happens? Meiotic division happens, or reduction division happens. Why reduction division? Because it has to become half. Did we study? 23 pair becomes what? 23. So 1 half. This becomes what? T. Here also there will be reduction division and it will become small t. Correct? And the first generation, all plants are what? Tall. They look tall, but they have even genes of shortness. This generation, which is the first generation, is called as filial 1 generation. So, what do we write them as? F1 generation. Filial 1 generation. Ishtarthaita. When you take a pure tall plant and cross it with a pure dwarf plant, it gives 2 genes. And in the first generation, all plants are tall, but they are not like their father or mother. All plants are tall, but they have even genes of shortness. Now see, when the plants of F1 generation are self-crossed. Self-crossed andre ide tara plant will reproduce with same kind of plant. So see, when I cross TP into TP, fine. So this can give me 2 types of gametes. So we use a Punnett square to tell it what will be the next generation. First plant will give 1 gamete P and another gamete small t. Correct? Second plant will also give a gamete P and T. Correct? This will give 1 T and T. This will also give T and T. Cross it now. T, T, T and small t, capital T and small t, and small t and small t. Correct? Understood this? So this square is called as what square? Punnett square. So now you see, how many plants are tall from here? Which has got capital T? 3. So the monohybrid phenotypic ratio is 3:1. 1 plant is short, 3 plants are tall. Which ratio? I said phenotypic ratio. Phenotype andre how I move from outside. Outside, if I see, all 3 plants are tall. But from inside, how many plants are pure tall? 1 plant is pure tall. 2 plant is hybrid tall, isn't it? And 1 plant is short. So this is what ratio? Genotypic ratio. What is phenotypic ratio in a monohybrid cross? 3 plants are tall and 1 plant is short. How is the plant genotypic ratio? 1 pure tall is to 2 hybrid tall is to 1 short plant. Understood? So this is monohybrid cross, which states that when there is a dominant character, it makes its appearance in the first generation, and that dominant character continues to give its parent generation. In which generation are we talking about? This is F2 generation. So first generation mein Appa doesn't come back or Amma doesn't come back, but in the second generation traits of Appa and Amma will come back. Understood what I said? Once again, monohybrid cross means crossing the plant having with or using one character of the plant and crossing it. The character which is dominant is written in capital. The character which is not dominant is written in small letters, but the same letter has to be used. If I say black and white, you cannot use BB into WW. You will use capital BB and small bb. White and red, capital WW and small WW. No, you cannot use different characters for crossing. You will use the same alphabet for crossing. One will be in capital, one will be in small letters. The capital letter is a dominant character, the small letter is a recessive character. Okay? When they reproduce, what division takes place? Reduction division takes place, and you get one capital T and one small t. When they fuse together in F1 generation, all plants are tall. How tall they are? Phenotypic tall. Phenotypic means nodadre tall irutte, but ಒಳಗಡೆ it has genes of dwarfness or shortness. When the plants of this generation are self-crossed, we can tell the F2 generation using Punnett square, Punnett square or Punnett square, but don't make it Punnett square. Okay, it is Punnett square. Right? So you will give 2 gametes, this will also give 2 gametes. When you cross, you find 3 plants are tall and 1 plant is short. How? Appearance wise. So phenotypic ratio. But actually, anyway, 1 pure tall plant, which was like what generation? Parent generation. 1 dwarf plant, which was like which generation? Parent generation. And 1 plant, which is like the immediate parent. Understood? So this shows what? That the character gets repeated in the coming generations. So this is called as monohybrid cross. Now let us learn how to write it. Please write, continue. Whatever you have written monohybrid cross, I will continue Madi. Mendel crossed a pure tall pea plant. Gyana or pakka ba space pidbeku nodu. You have to leave some space. 2-3 lines I think. Mendel crossed a pure tall pea plant. Pure tall pea plant with a pure dwarf pea plant to get all tall plants in F1 generation. To give all tall plants in F1 generation. F1 generation now first generation helbodu or filial 1 generation helbodu. Okay, this shows that tallness is dominant over dwarfness. dwarf, and write it here. Reduction division ಗೊತ್ತು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿದೀನಿ pure tall plant with a pure dwarf plant gives during sexual reproduction ಅರ್ಧ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ and you get tall plant in F1 generations. ಇಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗೂ ಬರೀರಿ. Written? Done. Please write. Tall F1 generation body or female 1 generation, one and the same. Now write, when the plants of F1 generation, are allowed to self-cross, comma, we get the following monohybrid ratio. We get the following monohybrid ratio using a Punnett square. Using a Punnett square. Start from here. TT into TT. Done. Written. Now write after that phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic monohybrid ratio. Phenotypic monohybrid ratio. 3 tall plant is to 1 dwarf plant. 3 tall plants is to 1 dwarf plant. Genotypic ratio or genotypic monohybrid ratio, 1 pure tall plant, 1 pure tall plant is to 2 phenotypically tall plants, 2 phenotypically tall plants is to 1 pure dwarf plant, is to 1 pure dwarf plant. Thus, genotypic ratio is 1 is to 2 is to 1. I didn't get you.
Could it be from genotypic monohybrid ratio?
Genotypic monohybrid ratio is 1 pure tall plant is to 2 phenotypically tall plant is to 1 pure dwarf plant. Phenotypically tall plant is to 1 pure dwarf plant. So the genotypic ratio is what? 1 is to 2 is to 1. What is phenotypic ratio? 3 is to 1. Please write phenotypic ratio in terms of percentage. Phenotypic ratio in terms of percentage. What is our phenotypic ratio? 3 is to 1. In terms of percentage, if I do it, becomes what? 75 is to 25. So write 75% dominant character, 75% dominant character, and 25% recessive character. 75% dominant character and 25% recessive character. Okay? Very good. Genotypic ratio in terms of percentage. 1 is to 2 is to 100? 25 is to 50 is to 25. But genotypic ratio in terms of percentage, 25 is to 50 percent ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ 25% is to 50% is to 25%. ಇದಿಷ್ಟು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಈಗ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪಕ್ಕ ಬರೋದು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಮೀ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಓನ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ F2 generation how will school go? School may teach like this. School will start what school generally teaches is take one from here, 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 and take one from here. This is easy, but this can be done only for monohybrid cross. But when we go for 2 character at a time, this cannot be done. So we basically use what square? Punnett square and teach, because that is how it was done by Mendel. But this can also be done. Either you can easily see 3 plants are tall and 1 plant is short. This is not wrong, this can be done. But the best logic is to do it using what square? Punnett square. You will adapt how your teacher teaches. I know she will teach like this, but the correct one is that. Okay, both are correct. I shouldn't say that is wrong or right. Fine, understood? So monohybrid ratio, 3 is to 1. Genotypic monohybrid ratio, 1 is to 2 is to 1. What does it tell? It tells that dominant character is seen more and more, because that characters may have some kind of what advantage? Survival advantage. Fine. Recessive characters do not die down, but their number keeps on decreasing over the period, and finally it gets vanished from the generations. So this is our first ratio, which is called as what ratio? Monohybrid ratio. Textbook open ಮಾಡಿ. Fine. Come to page number 144. Come to page number 144. You see there is a cross between 145, sorry. In 145, do you see there is a cross between a purple flower and a white flower? Can you see a cross between purple and white? Which is dominant? Purple is dominant. And white is what? Recessive. So what we will use, please write in your notebook now. Monohybrid cross in pea plant using purple and white flowers. Using purple and white flowers. So white is recessive and purple is what? Dominant. So what we will say? Let us say the parent plant which is dominant purple flowers is what? PP. Capital PP. And the white plant will become now what? Small pp. Clear? Understood? And now do the cross again. You can do the same way. So please write the steps and do it. Write on the top purple flowers. And this is for the second monohybrid cross. When we take purple flowers and cross it with white flowers, you know that the parent generation you can write on the top purple and white, and you will find that purple is dominant and white is recessive. This is what generation? Parent generation. Now it undergoes reduction division and it becomes capital P. It undergoes reduction division and becomes small p. So in the F1 generation, all plants will have what flowers? Purple flowers. You will write exactly the way we wrote the first one. Now when the plants of F1 generation are allowed to self-cross, we get what generation? F2 generation using what square? Punnett square. So how do we do the Punnett square? Same thing, we will take PP into PP. So this is capital P, one gamete is small p, another gamete is capital P, and one more is small p. So you get PP, PP. So you write monohybrid ratio 3:1, genotypic ratio 1:2:1. Same way, one more cross you will do between what? Round and wrinkled seeds. Round seeds are dominant in nature, so it will be represented as what? Capital RR. And wrinkled seeds will be denoted as small rr. So these are all examples of what crosses? Monohybrid cross. What does monohybrid cross indicates? It indicates the law of dominance. What is the law of dominance? That the dominant character makes its appearance during the first generation, and the percentage of dominant character even in the second generation continues. So dominant character will be inherited more and more, whereas the recessive character will not be much inherited. So monohybrid cross basically gives you what? The law of dominance. It also gives you another law which is called as law of segregation. When there is transfer from one generation to another, the genes segregate. They don't go as a whole. Understood? When I have one tall and one small, when it goes to the next generation, it does not go like this. It goes as what? One T and another T. So the characters segregate themselves when they have to be transferred from one generation to another. So is it clear? The monohybrid cross explains two laws of Mendel, law of dominance and law of segregation. Law of dominance says that the dominant character makes its appearance in the first generation and the dominant character continues to be inherited more. Law of segregation states that during the inheritance or during the reproduction time, when a new organism is formed, genes segregate themselves and they do not get inherited as a whole. They segregate themselves and then go for inheritance. Clear till here? Tomorrow we will do dihybrid